We all know you now as the second Miss World from Puerto Rico. But before you became a beauty queen, who is Stephanie?
Well, before this whole incredible journey began, Stephanie was a freshman in college, first year, studying communications and pre-law with aspirations to become an entertainment lawyer. Um, and she was a lot more shy at speaking. She was really
Mhm.
bad at public speaking. I think that's the biggest difference so far from who Stephanie was like before Miss World and who she is now, or who I am now. Why am I talking in third person?
Okay.
But yeah, I've always been someone who's musically inclined. I love to sing. I love being on stage, performing, whether it's acting or singing or dancing. I've always been a theater buff. And yeah, someone who's very family oriented as well. I'm super, super close to my family with my brother, my sister, my parents, my nieces, my nephew. But none of that's changed. It's the same person.
Mm. But was joining beauty pageants always part of the plan? Because you mentioned you
Um,
were studying law
yeah, it
before.
wasn't part of my plan actually.
Mhm.
Um, it was so being a beauty queen or joining a beauty pageant, competing in one, was not something that I originally had in mind. And I think a lot of it was because from a very young age, I've always been told and always been asked, like, oh, do you model? Oh, are you a miss? Oh, do you play volleyball? And I would always answer no to all those questions because they would ask me because I'm so tall. Be like, no, I don't do any of those things. I like to be in the theater. Like, that's all I do.
Yeah.
And uh, so, but like people used to say that so often to the point that like even in my preschool yearbook, it
Mhm.
says there's like a list in the first page of the names of all the students, and next to my name, and it would say things like characteristics of who they are and whatever. And next to my name is Stephanie Del Valle, a very sweet and kind girl, future model, or Miss Puerto Rico. So even since then, it's like always been like, oh my God, you're going to be a beauty queen. And I never really like thought about it. I never saw it as something that I could achieve or I could even
Mhm.
do. And it wasn't until I was in my senior year, my last year of high school, and we were doing the school musical. And the way that my school did the musical was they would cast the roles by seniority. So obviously the kids that were in their last year of high school were supposed to get the bigger roles. And I had been in the musical since I was in the third grade, since 8 years old, and I had been dreaming of that moment where I could finally have, my moment on the school stage. And I ended up not getting any role in the show.
Mhm.
And that for me was like, it completely broke my heart. I had no idea what I was going to do next. I thought I could never really achieve anything in life because I wasn't able to achieve that moment in high school. So I was really upset, and my mom noticed, and she found a modeling competition called La Musa de Carlos Alberto, which you didn't need any experience for, and it was just to like just get to know a little bit about the modeling industry. And so
Modeling.
I decided to join that competition, and I ended up winning it. And that's how
Mhm.
I met the designer of the Queens,
Queens.
Mr. Carlos Alberto. And he was the one that introduced me to what Miss World was, because since I didn't follow beauty pageants, I didn't really know that Miss World even existed.
Mhm.
So when he told me, I want you to compete, I would love for you to compete at Miss World because you're like the prototype of a Miss World. And I was like, oh, I don't know, because I'm going to go to college, I'm going to become a lawyer.
Mhm.
Like, I don't know if that's my thing. And so I
You didn't
decided to,
believe him at first. So you
I
didn't
didn't,
believe him at first that
yeah,
you can be a beauty queen. Okay.
yeah, yeah. And so, but he was like, okay, well, you don't have to do it, but it's something I'd like you to do. So why don't you like research more about Miss World and then you come back to me? And I was like, okay, let's do that. And so I did. When I was reading about Miss World, I found Beauty with a Purpose. And I saw that there's this incredible, enormous platform that can now give like competing in a beauty pageant more of a meaning than just like wanting to represent Puerto Rico, and like there's more that I can do than just represent Puerto Rico. I could represent Puerto Rico and impact the world
Mhm.
through all the different causes that we help. So
Yeah.
yeah,
And
the rest is
you
history.
joined Miss Mundo Puerto Rico and you won your first ever pageant at 19 years old.
Yeah,
Yeah, so, how did you prepare for the upcoming international pageant since you already know what Miss World is at that time?
yeah, yeah. So um, I needed to have a lot of discipline for when I was competing both in the local pageant in Miss Mundo Puerto Rico and when I was going for Miss World. Because when I competed here first, I was actually living in New York because I was studying.
Mhm.
So I would fly back and forth every weekend so that I could be in Puerto Rico to go to all the different events that we had and be able to actually participate in the pageant.
And that was
So
every week, right?
every weekend, yeah. So I would leave.
Flying to.
It was a crazy schedule for a whole semester. I generally don't know how I did it, but it was on Thursday nights. I would catch a plane at midnight, um, and I would arrive here Friday morning at like 4 in the morning, 5 in the morning. I would sleep till like 9, take a little break, and then um, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, full schedule all day. With all the different kinds of classes or events that we had for Miss Mundo Puerto Rico. And then on Monday, I would leave Puerto Rico at 6 a.m., arrive by 10, and be in class in the university at 1. So it was really, really hectic, really crazy. But it helped me like maintain a lot of discipline for the moment when I became Miss Mundo Puerto Rico, that I had to train for Miss World, where I had Carlos Alberto and I had extended members of his team
Mhm.
that really shaped me and really helped me prepare for this global stage.
Yeah, I'm sure flying back and forth to Puerto Rico and New York was worth it because
Yo, for sure.
you you won both Miss Mundo Puerto Rico and then Miss World.
Yeah.
So
And
at
it
this
was a
point,
very expensive journey.
definitely.
Yeah, I mean, I was lucky that I bought it all like with enough time because I knew the commitment that I was going to make. So the first few flights are a little expensive, but then the ones after, since you buy them like with enough time, it was fine. And it worked out in the end, so it's perfectly okay. The sacrifices worked out, so it's okay.
Yeah. And now at this point, I want to talk about your Miss World journey. So, what was running through your mind when you were on your way to DC for Miss World 2016?
When I was flying to DC,
Yeah, when you were
when I
flying
was
to DC.
okay. Um, well, honestly, the first things that were running through my head were like I remember saying goodbye to my mom and dad and my family, and getting on the plane and giving myself like a pep talk the whole plane ride, like, come on, Stephanie, you can do this. You got to bring Puerto Rico that Christmas gift that you have promised them.
Mhm.
Um, and I was giving myself that pep talk of like, yeah, I can totally win this thing. And then all of a sudden I arrive in Washington and I meet all the other girls, all the other contestants, and I look around and I'm like, okay, this is going to be a lot harder than I thought.
Uh-huh.
Was
Because
there any pressure, Steph,
I
before
mean,
you arrived?
there was the pressure of like really, really wanting to win the crown, since
Mhm.
since nobody from Puerto Rico had won Miss World in 41 years. Like we had a lot of placements and we had a lot of really amazing representatives that did a beautiful, beautiful job. Um, but nobody had actually worn the blue crown. Because not even Nelia wore the blue crown. She had a different one.
Mhm.
So it was something that I was kind of pressuring myself, and a lot of people, uh, like my dad, for example, he like really expected it from me. He was like, "You're gonna win. You have to win." But I had a lot of support here, so having so much support from the people from your home is like a pressure, but like good pressure that you just want to do well, even if you don't win. You just want to do well and do your best and show the world like what Puerto Rico is and what we have to offer, kind of stuff.